Joining me now is a Democratic candidate in the 3rd Congressional District, Andrew Rice. And Mr. Rice, thanks for being on the program today.
Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited and I appreciate the opportunity. And hello there, Connecticut.
There you go. All right. So tell me a little bit about your background.
So my parents I grew up middle class. I was very fortunate to have really wonderful parents. My father is a second-generation Irish American. My mother's a first-generation Italian American. With that, I had a very comfortable childhood. I went to college for cellular and molecular biology. I have my bachelor's and my master's in that. And then for the past several years, I worked at Yale for 12 years, 5 of them as a technician, 7 of them as a lab manager. And then I became a scientific project manager for a small biotech nonprofit.
Why do you want to run for Congress?
So last summer, I had a confrontation with Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro that I put on social media. And a member from the Hamden Democratic Town Committee reached out to me after seeing that video. He was impressed that I was willing to confront a politician in public like that. And he asked if I would be interested in challenging Rosa DeLauro for the nomination. And so after seeing her failed leadership on Palestine, I looked more into if more things that she has or has not done. And after doing some research, I was disappointed by the failed leadership on several areas. For example, one thing that Rosa DeLauro doesn't support that I do is Medicare for All, which is a very popular program, especially among Democrats. Another thing that I was very disappointed to see was the lack of funding for the IDEA program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. It's a federal program that is supposed to subsidize 40% of special education expenditures for the municipalities, and that's only been funded around 13%. There's actually a bill in Congress right now called the Fully Fund IDEA Act, which she is not co-sponsoring, and our district has lost $51 million because of that in just last year alone.
Let's talk your comment about Palestine. How do you differ from Congresswoman DeLauro, and what should she be doing in your judgment?
So the situation in Palestine is a genocide. And when I confronted the Congresswoman last year, I asked her several times why was she unable to call what is happening in Palestine a genocide, to which she had no answer. At one point, I did ask, how do you sleep with yourself at night? And she quickly whipped with a very well, thank you. When our citizens don't have health care, when our citizens don't have education, and the people of Israel do have fully funded health care and fully funded education, I don't think it's fair for our citizens to be sending that money overseas to perpetuate a genocide when our own people are suffering.
What do you say to the Jewish voters in this district? What's your message for them?
I believe that so what is happening in Israel is not reflective of the Jewish community. I've never seen anything but love and acceptance from the Jewish people. And so I feel that the situation over in Palestine is just a poor reflection on the Jewish religion, because it is a religion of peace and love. And the fact that the Israeli government is abusing their religion to justify this genocide, I think is reprehensible.
Do you think that Congresswoman DeLauro has been in office for too long?
So she's been in office for 35 years. I was a 3-year-old boy when she first took the helm. And so I believe it is time to pass the torch.
Is her age an issue to you?
Not in the traditional sense of like someone being too old, but the reality is that the average lifespan of an American is like 76 to 79 years old. I was a member of Congress who gets government-funded health care. I'm sure that's longer. But I think it's important that for the people who will be inheriting the future, they should have more decision-making process in the future that they will be inheriting.
We've had some other guests on this program who are in positions similar to you. Kyle Gauck is challenging Joe Courtney. And Luke Bronin and Julian Gilchrist and Ruth Fortune are challenging John Larson.
And there's also Joseph Caputo, who's challenging Jim Himes in the 4th District.
Have you had any conversations with these people?
Yeah, so Joseph Caputo, myself, and Kyle Gauck are pretty close. We actually have a group chat, and we try and discuss ways of helping each other's district should we make it into Congress.
Now, some of these congressmen and their supporters are saying, listen, you lose us, you lose all this seniority, you lose a lot of the heft that they have in Washington, and maybe a lot of the perks that come back to Connecticut. How do you respond to that?
So if seniority was everything, why do our citizens not have universal health care? Why are our citizens not being able to afford rent and afford groceries and afford education? So if experience and seniority was everything, why do our people not feel it? Why are our people struggling so much when we have such experienced leadership in Washington?
How do you beat Congresswoman DeLauro? She's been here for a long time. You're running to the left of a progressive.
So
Is there an appetite for that?
I believe there is, and I also don't believe that she is as progressive as she claims to be. If you look at Government Tracker, they list all the Congress people, and she's, I think, the 180th most progressive member of Congress, which means there's a lot more room to the left that we could be going for our constituents here in Connecticut.
Are you getting support from delegates?
So we are reaching out to delegates, but it is most likely that we're going to have to go through the ballot petition process that begins on April 28th. But in the meantime, on our website, we are collecting unofficial signatures to increase the likelihood that we can identify voters who would be willing to sign that petition.
So you want to qualify for a primary?
Yes. Yes, this will be the first time in Connecticut history that there's a congressional primary.
Andrew Rice, he is a candidate for the 3rd Congressional District. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you so much, Dennis, and take care, everyone.